Okay, so good morning, everyone. Welcome to our November 23rd Directors Meeting. We have a full agenda today. So in terms of attendance and roll call, if you are able, I know some of you indicated that maybe you would be driving this morning, so please don't worry about the chat box when you're driving. But if you would be so kind as to drop your name and the site or school you're with into the chat box, that'll kind of be our form of attendance today. And then I'll also make note of who was attending as well. So we'll go ahead and do that real quick. And then I'm going to turn it over to Vic, who's going to take us through our agenda today. So thank you. Vic, are you able to see the agenda on the screen?
Yep.
Okay, do you want to take us into item number 2 there, please?
Sure. Okay, I sent out an email about making sure that, you know, if the school is open, that you have to be running a program. And this is not anything new. This is, you know, old guidance. And, you know, I double checked with the higher ups and yep, you know, that's just a policy. So it's a little different than when the pandemic first hit and all the schools were closed and, you know, we just told you to go ahead and, you know, you could still be paying everyone. But now that schools are reopening, that's a real challenge because, you know, sometimes after school isn't top on their list. And, you know, you have to do things a little bit differently than in the past in order to do everything you can to reach out to the at-risk kids. So, you know, just want to let you know. And while it's really hard right now, I think there's some reward down the road. And I'll talk a little bit about that later on in the agenda. Okay, and financial claims, you guys got an email reminder that, you know, the claims are due and everybody now is in CASA. We've got our community groups and our districts in there, and they've made some changes to CASA, but this year has been crazy. I mean, it's like every other claim, I'm having to follow up. And if you saw that list of things that not to do, those are all things that I've already experienced with folks, you know, sending in a blank claim sheet, you know, numbers not balancing and things like that. So, you know, take a few minutes and double check everything.
Nick, we've had a couple of questions pop up in the chat box, and I should also say this. Absolutely feel free to use the chat, but you are also welcome to unmute yourself and ask the question directly. So this is in regards to item number 2 on the agenda, Vic. We have a question from Chris in Makokata. He wants to know, are we considering remote learning to be open? And then a follow-up question with Shani from Davenport. She wants to know if we can define what programming looks like when they are 100% remote. Are there specific hours they need to address?
Well, you know, we want to try to do as much as we can towards the norm, which is 60 hours a month of contact time. Now, you are not limited to Monday through Friday. You can do stuff on Saturday with the kids and, you know, maybe you have, you know, a day in the park, you give them all a mask and you do some physical stuff on a Saturday with them. As far as remote learning, there's a lot of things. We had a webinar that you could run a chess club and they're happy to assist you. And there's a lot of things you can do online. Although it's unfortunate that there's not a lot of time for professional development. Hopefully, when we weren't serving kids the 3 months, you might have taken advantage of that time to work with your staff on some online teaching, online professional development.
Chris or Shani, I would invite you to unmute, and if you have additional parts to your question.
The bottom line is you have to try to do the best you can.
Vic, this is Shani. I think it would be helpful if you were able to send out some guidance in writing that defined what programming looked like when we're 100% remote, specifically around the expectation to have things on the weekends. We're not allowed to have that direct contact with children right now, because right now the positivity rate in Scott County is over 26%. So as a district employee, we can't be coordinating activities against the guidance of our district.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Are the schools closed or are they open?
They're closed. No one is allowed in the buildings.
But they're doing, well, I mean, are they doing instruction online?
Yeah, there is direct instruction online.
Okay, yeah, so then you need to do some stuff online. But on some of these other things, if they've directed you that you can't have programming, you should send me a notice, because that's a programmatic change, and we've sent that out to folks, especially now with things changing constantly. You guys need to keep me informed on that. That way I can be asking the questions to help create those kinds of guidance things.
And we can only go 2 weeks at a time. So continue to send those notes to you as the remote learning is extended with each 2-week period.
Sure, because just like with summer school, every year with summer school, I ask people to send me an email and tell me, what are your hours going to be? Has your location changed? And that's the big thing for the summer school. People change their locations. But now with the virus, people are, there's so many different ways that people can address this at the district level.
All right. Thank you, Chris and Shani, for those questions. Chris, feel free to unmute and hop in here if you need further clarification, or if anybody else needs further clarification. So Vic did address the financial claims process. I just want to pause here for a moment and open it up if anybody has any questions or follow-up for that particular agenda item.
So this week I'll be looking at claims today and tomorrow, but then next week I believe is the deadline for getting those claims in.
Okay. So we're going to move on, but again, if people have questions about financial claims or program updates regarding item number 2, please feel free to drop those in the chat or unmute yourself. So on November 13th, I actually sent a link and a PDF document out with our statewide survey information on it. That link is open and ready for your input. You'll note that several of the items collected in this survey are very similar to what's in your APR and local evaluation document. So it's kind of, on one hand, it's a lot of data to report. On the other hand, it's kind of nice that they tend to mirror each other. We would strongly encourage you to download or even print that PDF document first, so that you have a place where you can collect that information and then go to the link and enter. Because when you get halfway through it and you get distracted by a child or something like that, it doesn't always save the way you want it to in SurveyMonkey, so just be very cautious of that, that item. This is due January 15th of 2021, so hopefully we've given you plenty of time to complete that. And if you have any questions about that, you can reach out to myself, and I'm happy to work through that with you.
Yeah, that survey is considered part of the state evaluation. It's another data set that we use every year.
Sure. Vic, do you want to give updates on local evaluation?
Sure. The due date is Monday next week, but extensions are available. You just send me an email. And if you send me an email now, you'll get an extension to January 4th. And then our committee has worked on contract language for the evaluation. The evaluation committee is going to review what we have, and then we'll be sending that out or presenting it at a meeting.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so thank you for that. So once the evaluation committee has a chance to review that, again, we will share that. I'm also going to drop into the chat the link where you can access the recording of the best practice webinar that we did back in September, and the new links to the document. Now, when you go to that particular page on the 21cclc.com website, you're going to go about 3/4 of the way down, and you should be able to see that information. But again, please feel free to reach out to me if you're having trouble finding it. Any questions about local evaluation or the statewide survey this morning? Okay, so Vic, I think we're ready for item number 6, new GEPRA measures.
Oh boy, oh boy. Well, we've been working on this for years. And finally, we're at the point where we've narrowed down the GEPRA measures. They're going to drop from 14 that we currently have down to 5. But it's going to take about 2 years for this process. One of the things that's going to happen is all of the measures are going to be focused on student growth rather than proficiency. And we're going to have some meetings next year to give everyone a lot more information than what I'm going to give you today. I'm just encapsulating this. One nice thing is in the future, we're going to count all the kids, not just the kids that attend 30 days or more. So that's going to be good for like summer programs where you might have half the kids that attended 25 days out of 30. It's going to give us a little more accurate count on our attendance. The teacher survey is going to be kind of reduced to a question about student engagement. That's going to be their area. And we're going to be looking for principal data on the decrease in the number of referrals. That's a lot better than asking a teacher because it's hard data in every student information system. So I'm encouraged that this is going to be a lot better measure. And so as this unfolds, I'll be sharing more information with you next year.
Great. But for this year, as we work on our APR data entry, we still have the same parameters in place. So just a couple of quick reminders about your APR data entry window. So you'll see that the fall of 2019 window is currently open. It'll be open until December 21st. And then your spring 2020 data, of which we know will be affected by COVID, will open December 22nd and remain open until February 15th. And as we've said in previous meetings, but again, I'll open the floor for any questions that might come up here. There is a spot in the APR system where you can immediately address how COVID has affected your programming. And then, of course, we would expect you to have similar information in your local evaluation document and also the statewide survey, obviously. Does anybody have any questions about the new GEFRA measures or the APR data entry windows?
Let me give you guys a reminder on the APR data entry. This is a must do. It's not a nice to do. Make sure you're doing your APR, and on these windows, you should put them on a reminder calendar for yourself because you do not want to forget to be entering this data. I can tell you in the past, they weren't looking at it as much as they are now. I got a reminder email that our numbers were a little bit low, and then I went in through and contacted some of the folks. But what some states do is they use this as, you know, a non-compliance area, and it is technically a non-compliance, but it's very important because this data goes to Congress, and Congress votes on our funding. So we don't want to forget about this APR data. It's critical.
Yes, I also am going to drop another link in the chat here. Just a reminder to people that we do have templates available on our website to help you gather that data for the APR system in one place. These were put together by our Evaluation and Sustainability Committee, I believe, and they're a really nice tool for you to use to be able to, again, collect that data so you can have it at your fingertips so that when you put it in the APR, it follows directly along. So, and again, these are at that link. So please check the chat for that. All right. Moving on to item number 8, we did want to open the floor here for a bit for people to unmute themselves and or to use the chat box. We'd like to just maybe gather a little bit more input on the Impact Conference this fall. We have our survey data, we have our individual session data, but again, we just wanted to extend the opportunity to you as directors to let us know how you think the conference overall went, and if you would have any suggestions for us, if we would have to keep kind of living in this virtual world moving forward, what might that look like? I'm going to pause for a moment, and I would invite anybody who attended the conference to unmute yourselves and just join in to the discussion. Or use the chat.
Crystal, I'll chat a little bit about it.
Thanks, Jenna.
I think, I mean, hopefully we don't have to live in this virtual world forever. You know, I mean, I'll point out the obvious. I think everyone would prefer something in person. For me, I feel like I'm able to be a lot more engaged when I'm there in person. You know, just being in the environment and the atmosphere and getting to network with everyone that's on this call, you know, in person. I feel like that's when we have a lot of the really good discussions. When you're in this virtual setting, it just makes it harder to be able to engage and focus on it, honestly. I mean, I think given the situation, it was wonderful. I mean, all of the work that the committee had to do to get that put on is amazing. And, you know, I'm very grateful for that. It just makes it trickier.
Yeah, I agree completely. And if there was anything that we found in the survey results, it was kind of the general sentiment of you did the best you could with what you had to do, but we really like the in-person, particularly for exactly what you were saying with the networking there. So I think that's kind of a general sentiment that's happening. Thank you, Jenna. Christine dropped into the chat. Doing group activities was a little hard. She can't unmute because she's in a corner of her classroom. They have a lack of space there, so that happens. And then she did follow that up to say the presenters were great. So that's good as well. I would also throw out for discussion, again, kind of on that negative side of feedback was the lack of opportunity to network. Now, on a more positive side, several people indicated that they enjoyed the fact that they didn't have to take off 3 days to drive to Des Moines, get a hotel. They could still engage in their youth programming, attend the conference during the day, and then engage in the programming after school if there are sites that have before and after school programming. So that was nice. But on the flip side of that, then you also had those situations where you had staff who maybe were not able to attend because they are engaged in either teaching throughout the school day or another job that took them away during those daytime hours. So I think that, again, it's just that balance. So anybody else have any feedback for us?
This is Barb from Owine. I just want to say, I really tried to get to all the sessions and they were very good. But again, I want to just say what you said from a point of view as a director. It was not as inspiring and I couldn't bring as much staff. And it was for exactly that reason. You know, if they don't plan or leave town or leave their children or whatever the reason might be, I just didn't feel like they were as excited about it. So there's just something to lifting them out of their own environment and taking them someplace else. But I agree, if we have to stay virtual, we have to stay virtual. What can we do?
Yeah. Yeah, thanks for that. And, you know, Barb, I think I met you for the first time sitting around a table with a lunch tray or whatever, you know, so again, there's such value there. And absolutely, we completely note that. I do want to also say that if you attended the conference, you should have received an email from me with a password protected link to the sessions. Now, our plan is that because the conference involved a fee, we wanted to kind of give first shot or first dibs to attendees who have paid their registration fee to be able to access those recordings of the sessions that you perhaps were not able to attend, or if you wanted to go back and review something that was said in a session. That's currently password protected. Right after the new year, we're going to take that restriction off so that anybody within our network can go ahead and grab that from our website. So just kind of keep that in the back of your mind. Beth has dropped something in the chat here. She says she agrees what was said. It was nice not to have travel, but meeting together was great meetings. So again, thank you. I would encourage any of you to reach out to me individually through email or phone. If you have ideas on topics or presenters, if you have other specific thoughts that you want to share out, I would be happy to hear those because then what we'll do is we'll take those to our professional development committee and we'll ask them to kind of do some brainstorming to help meet those needs. So thank you for that input.
Crystal, this is Bobby Jo Sheridan with Des Moines Public Schools, and I just wanted to share as a presenter at the conference, the tech side of things worked really, really, really smoothly. The company did a fabulous job, and I think it can get really, really tricky to present virtually, especially when others are muted and you almost feel like you're just talking to yourself. But I would say that the tech side of things worked really, really well for presenters. And I think there was some good conversation through the chat. So I know that's not ideal, but I just wanted to share on a positive that on the presenter side, I thought it went really, really smoothly and I really appreciated the support. So thank you for all of that.
Yeah, that's great to know, Bobby Jo. Thank you so much for chiming in with that. So, okay, well, again,
let me say a few
ahead,
things here. This, I think, in the future is going to give us a lot more flexibility. We are, as soon as we're able safely to do face-to-face again, we will. However, we will have a virtual component, and we could even have a presenter who just does virtual because of their situation. You know, they might be out of state, or, you know, they can't travel, but they can chime in for, you know, an hour session. So I think that's just going to make our conferences better in the future. So appreciate those comments, and you know, let us know your opinion on these things.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm going to move on to item number 9, which is literacy coaching for the 2021 school year. If you participated in this last school year, some of this may sound a little bit familiar to you, but we actually work with Teresa Slaughter, who's an out-of-school time coach, to assist sites in further developing their literacy component to their program. This year, we actually have decided to target our community-based organizations for this outreach and support. So these would be, for example, our Boys and Girls Club sites, our SHIP, Youthport, places of that kind of entity, who are perhaps based in a school or partner with a school. Obviously, they partner with schools, but they might not actually physically be located in a school. So Teresa is going to work with those community-based organizations to put together a series of professional development offerings. Of course, this is all going to be virtual. And then she'll also be working with those sites to individualize or tailor support specific to their needs. With that being said, we did want to open it up to everybody else just to see if there were people who are concerned about their approach to literacy during out-of-school time programming. If you would like to join or have your direct service staff, sorry folks, it's Monday, join in those professional development offerings, just please reach out to me and I'll be happy to make some connections with you there. Teresa does a great job for us, so it's just nice to be able to have that as an option. So again, thanks for that. I'm going to move on to item number 10, but again, feel free to unmute or use the chat if you have questions. We have a few reminders from the Iowa After School Alliance today, and I do have Brittany Samuelson on the call with us as well. So Brittany, feel free to please jump in if you have anything to add or you want to clarify anything on this list. So first and foremost, you should all be receiving the Iowa After School Alliance newsletter, but if you're not, there's a really simple way to sign up for that. And I'll go ahead and drop that link in the chat, or Brittany, if you happen to have it readily available, that looks like maybe she just did, you can certainly sign up for that newsletter right there. This is a nice way for you to know about things that are happening across the whole state. We include grant opportunities and professional development trainings in this newsletter. And it's also a nice way for you as a site to share your information. If you have anything that would be applicable, just reach out to us and we'll be happy to talk about that and checking the value of adding that to our newsletter. The Mizzen app. This is an app that we did a best practice webinar on, and this is provided by the Mott Foundation. The Mizzen app is a great way for you to be able to download to your phone or tablet a lesson plan repository for working with your youth in your programming, that you can actually, it's very tailored and very specific to what you're needing. So if you are looking for an activity on writing, you can punch that into the app and it's going to pull up some items for you to think about based on age and time and things of that nature. Brittany, do you want to unmute and talk a little bit more about the Mizzen app? You're much more familiar with it than I am.
Yeah, Mizzen is a great opportunity for you all, I think, especially as some of you are transitioning to virtual programming. The Mizzen by Mott app, like Crystal said, you are able to search for different activity plans based on age, based on subject matter, based on whether you want it to be a primarily virtual activity, or if you're in person still. So I really encourage you all. I dropped the link in the chat for you to read a little bit more about it and download it. I'm also going to put a link to that best practice webinar that Crystal just mentioned, where I did a live demo of the app. Basically, every program I know that knows about it and has started to use it really enjoys it. So I think it's mostly just getting the word out. And so I really encourage you, maybe over this Thanksgiving break, play around with it a little bit right on your phone. Lots of good stuff there, and all the content is vetted and made for out of school time professionals. So it's not school day stuff that you have to adjust for after school. It is made for you, and lots of really easy stuff for you to just pick up and kind of run with in your program.
As a former Girl Scout advisor, I would also say too that an app like Mizzen could be very beneficial for a group like that if that's something that you're looking into as well. So thank you for that, Brittany. The next reminder from the Iowa After School Alliance is in regards to STEM training. So the Iowa After School Alliance partners with Blank Park Zoo, the Science Center of Iowa, and the Iowa Children's Museum. And we are actually, we received a grant from the Million Girls Moonshot to be able to host a series of 5 professional development trainings we actually held our first one last week, and those will be held about monthly with taking a little bit of a break for the holiday. These are great ways to grow or expand upon your STEM programming. Our first session was titled Reimagining Engineering with Girls Leading the Way. We know that girls in the field of STEM are growing, but they tend to lean more towards those human sciences or social sciences. So we want to think about ways that we can ask them or get girls excited. Sorry, I'm getting a little bit of background here. I was just going to see if maybe we could, if you haven't, if you would mute yourself, that would be great. But we want an opportunity to get girls excited about STEM programming. Now, next week on December 2nd, we will be presenting on how mentoring plays a role in your STEM program. And we'll actually have a guest from the Iowa Mentoring Project, Mary Shika. She will be presenting alongside myself. I have emailed the distribution list, the link to be able to sign up for that. And then in January and February and March, we'll also be tackling things like how to engage a child's family in your STEM programming, and then how to approach peer relationships within STEM programming. The way this is all going to accumulate at the end is we're going to have a website with appropriately DOS vetted, DOS stands for Dimensions of Success, vetted lesson plans that anybody in our 21st Century Network or anybody across the state can access at any time for free. So again, if you are working with a group of kindergarten first graders and you need an earth science STEM project, you'll be able to go to this website that we've developed, look at that, and immediately have the lesson plan ready and available for you. Those will be able to also be sorted by content area, time, and you'll also be able to sort whether based on your environment. So are you going to be stuck inside, or do you have some outdoor capacity or something of that nature? So our last webinar that will be held in March will actually be the rollout of that website, and we'll be sharing with everybody how and when and where and to be able to use those. So some very exciting things that are happening with STEM. Item number D is in regards to the email that I sent with a survey link a few weeks ago, and then a follow-up email that I sent just this last Friday. So we have an opportunity, the Iowa After School Alliance, the Iowa Department of Education, and the Iowa Agriculture Literacy Foundation has an opportunity to apply for a grant through the National Science Foundation. And what this grant would allow is for sites to be able to implement agricultural lessons as a part of your STEM curriculum into your out-of-school time program. The lessons will be designed to meet your needs, meaning, again, age, time, things of that nature. The grant itself would include a financial contribution to your site to be able to readily carry out the program, but would require a commitment on behalf of your site because, of course, there's a high level of data collection that would need to be done with this as well. So several of you have responded to my follow-up email that you've indicated that, yes, you are interested in learning more. If you have not yet done so, or if you are on this call today and are interested, please drop your site into the chat and I'll just simply make note of it on my cheat sheet here. So before I can move on to item E, I just want to pause for a moment and ask if anybody has any questions about the newsletter, app, STEM trainings, or the grant opportunity.
I have a comment to share with everyone. You know, during this pandemic, this is actually the second large grant. That's I believe it's a $2.5 million NSF grant that we're working on.
It's actually 3.
3, okay. So the other one was 2.5 and this is 3. So we keep upping the ante. But, you know, this is unprecedented for us to be applying for 2 large grants. The first one we'll know in December, and that's involving career and technical education for our high school sites. And there's only 4 of them, but still, you know, that was a grant opportunity that we were able to do. And we hope in the future to, you know, at least maybe do 1 grant opportunity a year. And that just gives you guys more resources to serve kids. And that's what it's all about.
Absolutely. So again, if there are any questions, please feel free to unmute or drop those in the chat. I'm going to move on to item 10E now, because this actually came up in 2 separate conversations that I had with program directors across the state recently. And it kind of goes back to what we were talking about with the Impact Conference and that ability to network. So it was suggested to us that we consider hosting a purely networking platform, Zoom meeting, for 21st century site directors, so that there wouldn't necessarily be an agenda or, you know, things of that nature. It would just be an opportunity for people to hop on during a window of time to be able to run ideas past each other, check in with your fellow 21st century network cohort, bounce ideas off, things of that nature. And I wanted to kind of get a feel for those on today's call to see if you think there would be value in that. And if there is, what might be the next steps then? So when would we determine that time? It was also suggested to me that we consider hosting a separate session for any 21st century site direct service staff. And again, in the way it kind of works in my mind is that would probably be like an evening time opportunity, because again, people are busy during the day, and then of course they're busy during out of school time. So maybe from like a 6 o'clock to 8 o'clock at night then for any direct service staff who maybe wanted to hop on and again get some of those programming hints or suggestions or how you're handling this virtual transition or things of that nature. Again, not necessarily an agenda or guided discussion or anything like that. It's just that, you know, hi everybody, I'm Crystal with this site. How are you handling this? Or does anybody have any ideas or suggestions for this? So I'm going to pause here and I'm just going to ask, what do you think about that? Would that be something that you were interested in? Christine wants to know if how would this meeting differ from one for the directors? And Christine, the main way that I see it differing is, you know, when you hop on this meeting, it's because Vic has information to share with you, or the Alliance has information to share with you. Obviously, we have an agenda that's on screen, and there's some discussion built in, but it's a fairly structured meeting. This would
And it's
be something
required.
that it's required, yes. This would be something more for your benefit. We would just simply be on the call to kind of help with the logistical parts of it. Hope that answers your question.
Hey, I think maybe I've talked about this before, and I don't know if everyone is like a Facebook user, but like for me, I feel like I get into a lot of my deep thoughts, like in the middle of the night or early in the morning, something like that. So having a structured time for a Zoom call to hop on, for me, I don't know that that would be as beneficial as if there was like a forum setting, a place where I could just say, I wonder how people are handling XYZ, and I could like shoot off the message in there, and then at any given time people could respond, you know, with what they're doing, so that it's not like a certain set time each month or whatever you're thinking. It's more of just, here's the forum, here's, you know, our little community space to ask what you need to ask.
Yeah, love where you're going with this. And I would tell you that our communications committee is actually working on this type of idea. We actually found an application, because not everybody is a Facebook person, and we get that, we understand it. We found an app called Telegram that it's, I guess I would describe it as maybe like an instant messaging type of app. So the committee is in the process of kind of piloting that with a real small group of themselves right now to see if it works, if people like it, if they don't. And then if they do, the plan was then to, again, roll that out to everybody with just that intention in mind. So again, it's 2 o'clock in the morning, you can't sleep, you type into the Telegram app or whatever platform we choose to go with. And again, that's for sites to use. Now, the Alliance, of course, would kind of monitor it just, again, for that logistical support and things of that nature, but really the content would be yours. So.
And, you know, Jenna, you can join the next communication meeting and find out a little bit more about the app, or just, you know, simply Google Telegraph.
Yeah. And I think our next communications committee is January 13th at 11 o'clock. So the website is not currently updated with our January through June committee meetings, but that will be happening in the month of September. So you can find that information there. So do we have any other thoughts about just a purely networking brainstorming session for management and or direct service staff? So I'm going to ask you to kind of mull it over. If you feel like it could be beneficial, maybe just shoot me a quick email. Let me know, yes, I'm in for management. Yes, I'm in for direct service staff. If you want to take this back to your direct service staff and ask them if that would be something that they would be interested in, I really kind of see it as almost like a study hall type of thing. So again, we choose a date, we choose a block of time, drop in and out however you want to, when you want to, where you want to, those types of things, and go with it that way. But again, we're just trying to brainstorm the best way to make those connections now that we're in this virtual world. So I believe that's all the updates from me and the Alliance and Brittany and Emily at this moment. So I'm going to kind of step back and be quiet now. Vic, I'm going to turn it back over to you to address item number 11, the return to learn and waiver.
Well, I still haven't heard whether Iowa has applied for a waiver. I did turn in all the information like a good consultant, and I have sent emails asking about where we are with it, and that's, you know, about all I can do. However, I do have some good news to share that, again, I wasn't expecting, and that's about this. There's a grant, the 21st Century Coronavirus Relief Act. it would automatically give everyone in the country a waiver. It'll allow you to provide additional services to kids. And it's $1.2 billion nationwide. So we would probably get, another round of our annual funding. And what's exciting is I heard that this passed the House when I was looking at it. So it's going to give us a lot more flexibility. And I think, one of the things that I would like to see with this extra money is to ensure that, all of our kids can get a full meal, every day, and maybe even on the weekends, working with churches within the community. Because when you think about it, a hungry child is not a child that's going to learn well. And that's one of their primary needs. We take care of the food, then we can do well with the learning. So that's, something that I'm excited about. Normally I'm telling you, hey, they're about to cut us. We've got to send in the data. And, it's been a long time that we've got some good news coming. Okay, item number 12. I'm working on some guidance for non-compliance. Things are changing a little bit at the DE. Not that these rules have changed, is the thing is that they're enforcing them more than in the past. So, we've always had a pretty good relationship where you guys can contact me and, we'll try to work things out early so things never get to non-compliance. That's always the best policy. But I want to let you know, even things like our committee meetings, that we're meeting a federal statute with all of those committee meetings. So, when I say it's required that you have somebody attending those meetings and you don't do that, hey, I got this federal statute that's been violated. We've got so much stuff in this program that is tied to federal statute. And I just want to try to give you guys kind of a roadmap with that. But, in Iowa, we do things a lot different than other states. We do try to reach out and work with you. And like always, if you have an issue, you should try to contact me first so that we can handle it quickly and prevent it from exploding into something that, nobody wants. So, like I said, we're going to have these meetings. We won't have one in December, but maybe we'll probably have one in January, and I'll probably have more information then about the GEPRA measures. So I think, this is helping us stay connected as a state. So anybody have any questions?
Yeah, Vic, Barb actually dropped a question into the chat with the extra funding. She wanted to know how they could locally access. Is it too early? And Brittany was kind enough to respond that the funding has not yet been passed. So we do have to wait for that to happen.
Yeah.
Before we get more details to that.
We have to wait. And the way it's framed up, though, it may not go out as a competition. It might be, for the states to decide how they want to distribute it. And, we might just do it for existing programs because, if you're going to provide extra support in the pandemic, if somebody's not an existing program, that's going to be pretty hard to do. So I'm thinking it's an extra shot in the arm. But we'll see, things can change from the original bill when they start debating it. And we really need to wait until the thing gets passed and see, what our legislators have, finally hashed out. But hey, this is good news. We're hearing that they want to give us more money instead of cutting us. So that's a nice, Thanksgiving present, I think. Thanksgiving and Christmas.
Yeah. All right. Thanks for that, Vic. we have open agenda items now for anybody who has anything else that you want to bring up today. Any questions that you might have.
Or if you want to share something nice that's you guys are doing.
This is Shani in Davenport. Just a quick note to let you guys know what we're doing with our 21st Century Families. We are 100% online, but myself and my team have made a point. Food insecurity is a huge, huge issue with our families. So myself and our homeless liaison work together to develop a program. And with our food service department and our operations department, we deliver weekly meals to all of our 21st Century Community Learning Center students, knowing that those families struggle with transportation as it is. We're able to go out, it'll be this week or tomorrow and Wednesday, to where all of those families will receive a week's worth of meals. And just to talk about the impact, we have as I go around and deliver, the families are so thankful. We actually have several homeless families that I delivered to last week that attend program, and they had no food. That what I was delivering to them was what they had. So then we were able to partner with a local community agency, and Friday night I was able to get an additional 25 boxes of food that will be able to go out to families this week as we deliver, knowing that we'll still deliver a week's worth of meals, but with the Thanksgiving holiday, everyone needs a little bit extra.
Yeah, very nice. Thanks for sharing, Shani. Anybody else want to jump in with a question or comment or what you're doing right now?
Yeah, tell us about something that you're doing that's helping the kids right now.
Hi, so this is John here in Des Moines with Oak Ridge. And so we have a couple of opportunities to provide meals or food for families over the holidays. One that's coming up this week, we have a barbecue restaurant that's going to distribute, and I don't know the exact number of meals for families. So that's one opportunity. And for the holiday Christmas season, we are going to be working with another one of our church groups who normally provide activities for both Thanksgiving and Christmas, but because of COVID, we're going to work with them on providing some type of food boxes for Christmas. So that's a couple of things that we've got going on here to address the food insecurity. So.
Yeah, very nice. Thanks for sharing that, John. Anybody else?
Let me ask Barb Schmitz if she can talk to us about, she's doing a lot of online classes in Owine.
Yes, I'm here. I have weird internet today, but
That's okay, we can hear you.
okay, great. Actually, our virtual programming has blossomed. We hired the magician that comes out of the Des Moines area to but she does all this virtual things with magic, and we pack all the supplies the children need in bags, and then we have curbside pickup. So our parents are really getting used to curbside pickup. We've also done the STEM project Goldie Blocks, where you purchase, it's really an engineering program for girls, and we focused on that. Owine started an online school for families that did not want to attend face-to-face. So we're really targeting our online students. So, so we are doing camps on Saturday mornings. We're doing them like after 4 o'clock. And we have, we started a babysitting course with Fayette County Extension. And, you know, I've been popping in on that one, and the kids have to provide a doll, a DOLL. And it's just kind of clever and cute how they're learning to deal with babies and toddlers. And I was hesitant, but we have like 14 kids.
Yeah, great.
Nice. You know, I was just thinking about if a lot of you guys are, you know, handing out food, you know, you could maybe do an online cooking class where you have someone show them opening the box of food that's coming to them in the next, you know, day or so, and how to prepare some of the stuff that's in that box. That's been one of the most popular things when I do site visits, that the kids really love those cooking classes. So, you know, another idea.
Vic, this is Caitlin from St. Mark. We actually did do that. It was, like you said, a popular activity. We're doing something similar as Beth shared, having the supply and curbside pickup, and we included a kind of a snack box where they would be able to hop on our Zoom call and prepare a snack together that was healthy and also had some literacy tied to it as well. So I think we're all trying to be creative and going well so far.
I'll share a recent family event that we did that was really successful. We created take-home kits that we did curbside, like most people are doing, that included a lot of family resources from our partners, but also included a deck of cards, instructions of how to play the game Crazy Eights, and then also a book for the families. So families picked up their supply kit, and then we did a virtual family literacy event where we shared with parents the different resources, food resources, and lots of the other resources that we provide. And then we did trivia. So we did a trivia night, and then families that won, actually the next time their kids came to actual programming, they got their prize if they won trivia. And then we also had time for families to play games together, their Crazy Eight, since they had all of their supplies. And that seems to work really well. A lot of people had mentioned that, but doing kind of the curbside to pick up their at-home family night kit and then be able to participate online together. So, and then kind of going off what some other people have said about food, we are helping to make sure our students are getting breakfast, lunch, and then their meals for the remainder of the week. And then I do have a site that we partnered with one of our local food banks, and we are providing Thanksgiving meals to the families at that site too. So it's so great that everyone is really pitching in this time of year to really make sure families have the food that's needed. And it's clear it's happening all across the state, which is really awesome.
Great. Okay. So that was wonderful that everybody is, you know, doing so many out of the box things for kids and families.
Yeah. I'm going to call out a couple of things that were in the chat here real quick, Vic.
Okay.
Chris in Kokota says that they outsource our food service program and are providing meals for all families in the next 2 weeks as they go remote learning. And then he needed to go to another meeting. And John Tersey with Boys and Girls Club Youthport in Cedar Rapids said that they're doing goodie bags full of board games, card games, and STEM activities. They also include food and snacks. The district is really taking care of the food, so then they drop off twice a week, and that way they're also kind of doing that well check and making sure the kids are safe. And then Beth says Boxcars and One-Eyed Jacks has games for cards and dice. And Sam is wishing everyone a happy Thanksgiving. So Laura said that they are providing a holiday meal next week for families. It will be a curbside pickup. So sounds like people are really doing some cool and interesting things. So, okay.
That's great. Okay. I want to wish everyone a happy Thanksgiving, and, you know, keep on serving kids, and, you know, just be flexible. And these are some challenging times, but we'll get through it.
Absolutely. So ladies and gentlemen, I'll download this video and then upload it to the website. Usually takes a few hours, so look for that maybe tomorrow morning. I'll also have the chat file in case you need to grab something from that on there, and the agenda will be posted to the website. You can find that at the link that I just put into the box, and there are past director meetings, recordings, and materials there as well. So thank you, everybody. Happy Thanksgiving. And then I'm going to stop the recording.